Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, a new Nintendo console will be released in Mega Man's timeline 20XX. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We have got a good show for you today. We are going to be talking about the news from the week, including what Nintendo is going to spend all that Switch money on. And then on Thursday, we are designing vacation homes for Nintendo weirdos. But Mark, in the meantime, how you doing?
I'm doing great. So happy to be here. Patrick, before we started recording, we were talking about the ska band Mustard Plug.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking.
You were chuckling about their name.
We were. It's not a good name, but
I mean, I have to imagine it's either like the plastic thing that goes on top of the bottle of mustard, or it's the like plug of mustard that gets like crusted up in there.
I don't like
the latter.
Do you remember in the early 90s that there was a resurgence in swing music? Is this a chicken and egg situation where it's like, did ska come out of that resurgence in interest in swing dancing? Or was like swing dancing out of the resurgence of ska music? Or do you not think the two is related?
No, I think they are related. As someone who was like discovering popular music at around that time, I was into ska, recognized, like I had a Cherry Poppin' Daddies record. I had a Squirrel Nut Zippers record. And there were a lot of like personnel between those bands that would like sort of cross-pollinate. I mean, look. How many jobs are there for a trombonist who wants to play pop music, right? Like, there aren't that many.
I mean, in the early 90s,
there were
there was a lot of opportunity.
There were like 12. Like, that's it. There's not that many. But so, yeah, I guess it's a good question because, like, I know that there's definitely a point where they, like, split and went separate ways, and, like, the swing dancing kids were their own thing and the ska punk kids were their own thing.
Sure,
but I think they probably originated or were, like, coming up, like, in parallel, and then, like, kissed in the middle and then went their separate ways.
I think I think that's beautiful, but I think that's probably true.
Speaking of kissing in the middle, my copy of Sonic Forces, would you like to borrow it? I don't know what that means, by the way. You can get on a list to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. All you gotta do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and give us a mailing address where we can send you my copy of this game. It could be the address could be your local library if you have like a like you work there or something.
I mean, right, yeah.
Or if you want to confuse a librarian.
What do you think they would do with it?
I mean, I think they would
throw it away,
slap a Dewey Decimal code on it, put it on the shelf.
My gosh, if there are any librarians who listen to the show and know the Dewey Decimal code for Sonic Forces,
yeah,
please let us know.
Also, if someone knows because there has to be, well, I guess there are like graphic novels that are like Sonic the Hedgehog, so like the subject matter must have a number, but I don't know if like different media has different.
Oh, sure,
probably, right?
Well, if a librarian listens to us, we would love to know the answer.
Yes, so please do that. There may be a copy of Untitled Goose Game, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we're not interested in knowing the Dewey Decimal for Untitled Goose Game.
That's right. I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah. Another thing you can do is you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you leave us a 5-star review on the US Apple Podcast Store, we'll give you a shout out on the show. If you leave us a review, favorite us, do whatever. If you share the show in any other way, let us know, send us an email, hit us up on Twitter. We'll give you a shout out on the show. Thank you so much to everybody who's left us a review and everybody who will in the future. We appreciate it so much.
Yes, we do. Mark, we've got a lot of show to get into today, so let's just do it. Let's get into what we've been playing this week. Animal Crossing New Horizons has been updated. 2.0 is available, as is Happy Home Paradise. Mark, have you been playing it?
Yes, I did. So last August, probably like over a year ago, I deleted my island.
I'm so excited for this journey because
And so
I know that you nuked it.
yeah,
You
that's
had an
right.
island, it is gone. So
Uh-huh.
Mark had to start from zero.
Yes. And so I have started from zero. I created a new island. It is called Cabot Cove because I am nothing if not a
You know your brand,
Murder She Wrote
right?
stan. Um,
What was your island called before?
I was actually trying to remember, and I
Wow.
can't. I don't know what I called it before,
Okay.
to be completely honest. I'm sure it was delightful, and if I could recall, we would all
We'd have a
chuckle
good
at
chuckle,
the
yes.
cleverness of it. But
It was
genuinely can't remember.
Was your island named Mustard Plug?
Spooky if it would have been. And so I guess in some way it's been interesting to see like what parts of the new content are available now and what parts aren't. And as far as I can tell, most of it is not.
Yeah.
So like, I can't uh start Happy Home Designer yet or Happy Home Paradise. But I'm only like 3 or 4 days into my new island, so it hasn't even been a week. The one
Who are
thing.
your starters?
Oh, do you know what? I can't. I
Can you describe them? I
uh
won't know who they are, but
yeah.
I like it
Oh,
anyway.
I should. This. I'm annoyed with myself that I don't remember.
Yeah.
One is like, is there a koala? Could there be a
There's definitely do
koala?
you have Ozzy?
Oh no, I don't think I have
I mean
Ozzy.
there are a bunch of koalas,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah, so I think I have a koala, and
yeah.
then I have like a rhino or something like that.
Okay.
Um,
He's not the mean rhino, is
no,
he?
no,
Okay.
he seems fine. We're
Okay.
on good terms.
All right, good.
But the only part of new content that I'm aware of that or that I can access immediately is like group stretching, which I am so happy about
Yeah.
because I'm glad to say that it is as delightful in person as I imagined it would be when it was first revealed. It's wonderful. Group stretching
How
in
how
Animal
long does
Crossing is so wonderful.
how long does a group stretch last?
I would guess 90 seconds.
Okay, not super long.
So it's not super long, but the music for it is perfect. It's just adorable. When a few years ago I visited China, my husband and I visited China, and they in like the parks, in like the afternoon there would be groups of older people who would be doing like they'd be dancing in the park, and that'd be a way to do like exercise. And I was telling my husband, it's like my dream is to be one of those people, and now I can be with group stretching in Animal Crossing.
It's amazing how the story that you tell right now reads as charming. But there was a little while where I lived right by the entrance to Runyon Canyon, which is like a big time like hiking trail in LA. And there would be like either like rhythmic like aerobic sort of like classes or like yoga classes that would happen like there outside basically every morning, and it was obnoxious.
Well, I feel like it's different when it's like a big public park,
Yeah.
and when like Runyon Canyon is a disaster. So I can't even imagine like that area. So I can't.
And
even
it was
imagine trying
before
to,
they
like-
redid it, so
Uh-huh.
like yeah, it was definitely like hyper disaster area at that point.
So I actually don't know how far I'm going to go with Animal Crossing New Horizons again, or actually I think it's just going to take me a very long time, because one thing I was feeling, and I felt this way about Pikmin Bloom, I think maybe like I'm just not in the mood for these like needy video games.
Yeah.
And so the idea of like I felt stressed out the first 2 days because I was like, there's so much I have to do in this game just to get like set up. And so I was feeling annoyed, right? Because like every little thing, when it would take a second longer because it was loading, I'd be like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And so I wasn't really
That's just not the way you can like engage with
no,
Animal
what would
Crossing,
be
though,
what's
yeah.
the point?
No.
And so I think like when I was playing before, every day I would play and it would take me, like an hour, 2 hours to do everything I needed to do
Yeah,
that day.
or like everything you could do for that day.
And I just
even,
don't want to do that. And
Yeah.
so I'm thinking I'm going to continue to play, but really slowly. Like
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to like go in. Like right now I have to gather the materials for Timmy and Tommy to open their store. That's where I'm at. Like I have the Blathers. I gave him like the 15 items, so the store or the museum probably popped up today. Like I'm making progress, but like I think it's just going to be really slow is the
Yeah.
only way that I'm going to be able to enjoy myself, because I just feel like too much pressure to get it done, and I just don't have the time to invest in it like I did when it first came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh man, the days when Animal Crossing had just come out, and it was like, yeah, I don't know, I'll sink 8 hours into this every
Right.
day for 3 weeks,
Right.
and then taper off to like 5 hours a day.
Well, did you have an opportunity to play? Because you have like an established island, so I'm curious.
Yeah. So I have an established island. And I have mostly just been playing because there are some things that the island administrator, the like first player, the person who sets it up, has to do, um, that like the other player cannot do.
Mm.
Like the island administrator needs to be the one who goes out and finds Brewster on like an island tour and invites him back. The island administrator has to be the one to talk to Blathers the next day, so that you can be like, oh yes, Brewster wants to come to the island and open a coffee house. That's all stuff that I need to do, which is stupid. I think any of the island residents, Sarah, I'm talking about Sarah here, she should be able to do that. It doesn't make sense to me that like I would be the only one, but that's the way the game is designed. So be it. So I did some of that, and I did a little bit of just like running around on the island with Sarah. But she has been the one who is like really like buckled in and has been playing it a lot, and she's been doing a lot of the Happy Home Paradise, which is super cool. And like I don't know, like decorating the houses was never really like my focus in Animal Crossing. Like I liked sort of developing the island and like sculpting that and planting stuff. But like once we get inside, I just sort of get like overwhelmed with like the possibilities of like how do I decorate these rooms. And that was not something that overwhelmed Sarah. That's something that she liked about the game in the first place. So getting to Happy Home Paradise and having like the restrictions put on, or like the restrictions and the sort of like opening up of like you can have as many of these as you want to put in here. You don't have to spend bells or like wait for other resources to unlock to start like adding these things to homes, but also having the direction of like this guy wants a place to show off his bike, and so you theme the whole thing around the bike. And when you put down things that he likes, he like claps, and you're like, oh okay, like it's immediate, and leaves a lot of room for creativity because there's no like fail state in it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't, I don't think there's a way to build a house for them that they're like, I hate this. Like they always end up loving it. But it yeah, I think she's done like 5 or 6 houses now. She designed the school. And yeah, it seems like really cool and fun, and there are a lot of ways to interface with how you're decorating rooms that aren't available in like the regular game, just like little shortcuts and stuff like that. The customizing materials, like right as you put them down, there's just like you can just hit another button and customize it instead of needing like customized kits and like going out to a workbench or whatever. So yeah, it seems super rad. All the characters in the expansion are fun. Lottie, the otter who runs the place, is great. Nico, the monkey who like guides you around, he wears a little hat and like drives a boat. Like he's adorable. Wardell, the manatee who like runs the store. I don't know. Like it's in typical Animal Crossing fashion where you just like want to spend time with even the NPCs that like aren't your villagers. The ones that are just like there and part of the game are fun and charming and have personality.
Yeah, I really wish that I could just jump straight to Happy Home Paradise because
Yeah.
I think I would really enjoy that part of it because
Yeah.
I don't really like decorating my own house or like my island all that much because I find it like I don't know, like having the bells and like all that kind of stuff, and the idea of just having it all there, you know, like
Yeah.
hey, I want this theme and here's like all of the items for that theme. That sounds really appealing to me. Um and so
I bet it can't possibly be that long until they.
I have read that some of it is, and I actually don't know. I should research, but I read that a lot of the new content is only happens once you get 5 stars on your island and KK
Oh,
Slider shows up.
what?
I don't know if Happy Home Paradise is at that point, but I
Yeah.
know that supposedly a lot of the content
Yeah.
is behind that, like Brewster and stuff like that. You have to
Mm.
get, you have to be past like KK Slider being there.
Okay. Well, and KK is only 3 stars, so
Oh,
like
okay.
getting the getting up to 5 stars is where you start getting lilies of the valley growing on the island.
Got it.
Like getting to 3 stars and getting KK Slider is considered like the end of the game.
Right.
So yeah, that the rest
I
of
mean,
it
it
would
took
be
me, I
end game
think,
content.
like 2 months probably to get to
Yeah, I
like
think probably me
KK
too.
Slider time,
About
but I wasn't being like super active about putting stuff outside, like decorating outside,
right, 'cause
which
you need to
really
do
is
a lot
what
of
tips
that.
you
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
A couple of things I want to note on the Animal Crossing's New Horizons is one, that Mr. Rossetti is back,
What?
which delighted me to no end. So if you have amiibos and you have Brewster,
Yeah.
well, retroactive spoilers, I guess. But yes, because in Brewster's Cafe you can use your any amiibo to summon
Oh, including
characters.
Mr. Rossetti.
Exactly. And
Oh my
so
God.
he has different dialogue that from what I've seen on like online, very fun. So happy that they found a way to have him back in the game in some form.
Oh, that's lovely.
And then the other thing I was going to say about it eludes me at the moment. But maybe if I remember as we continue, what are you playing?
Yeah, we'll just interrupt whatever else we're talking about so
Yeah.
we can come back to this. Well, Mark, I hope you are able to access Happy Home Paradise sooner rather than later. It is accessed just by going into the airport and telling them that you're ready to work. And I guess, yeah, maybe it just comes down to maybe you need Isabel on the island.
Yeah, or maybe I just need to be like a little further, because right, like at
Yeah.
the point I'm at, like I just barely got my first Nook ticket,
Yeah.
and so I haven't even used Dodo Airlines for the like base thing
Right.
that it is used for. I did remember what it was. The other thing is, whether I can't remember if it was on the show or not, but we were hoping that they improved the load times for when somebody visits your island,
Mm-hmm.
and that does appear to be the case.
Whoa.
That it
because they have not improved the load times in the rest of the game.
no, but anecdotally,
Yeah.
the load times when somebody's coming to visit your island it is shorter. It's still long, but it is
Right.
shorter than it was before.
Next time you're on, Mark, shoot me a text. I want to come visit your new island.
Yes, I mean there is nothing, but yeah,
I can bring a bunch
bring
of stuff.
Yeah, bring bells. I've also been playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as part of the Sega Genesis Switch Online.
Yeah.
And I finished it. I loved it. So I did not get all the Chaos Crystals, so I need to like
They're emeralds.
I need to go back and do that. But I really liked my time with it. I was very happy to play Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It was interesting to play some of the levels that are featured in Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh, okay. I liked the soundtrack. I forgot how much I liked the soundtrack. There's one level where it's kind of like it's not an airship, but you're in the sky.
Yeah.
And it is the one track in the game that I think is bad because it reminds me of like this to me it feels like Sonic trying to do the airship theme from Super Mario Brothers 3, and it's like occasionally like the notes just sound sour occasionally.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
But otherwise the music is
Sonic,
amazing.
do your own thing. Don't try to crib from Mario.
But I really liked it. It was interesting, and it's definitely one of those games where like I could definitely go back, and now I know how to like improve my times.
Yeah.
Because I like know my ways through the level a little bit more. Like the level design in Sonic games is really interesting to me, how there's different paths and everything.
Well, different paths, but they're also not like really clearly delineated as like this is this path and this is this path. You're just like, are you high or are you like in the middle or are you low?
Yeah,
and you can usually like navigate between them at various points throughout the level.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes you have to, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I should always stay up top because that's, like the best route. But that is not always the case.
Well, that's very cool, Mark. You other than this, you've really only played Sonic Mania, right?
Yeah, totally.
So are you holding out hope that we get Sonic 3?
That would be fun.
And Knuckles.
Yeah, I was watching. There were a couple of times in Sonic 2 where I got stuck, where I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go or how I'm supposed to like do this like jump or whatever. And so I would look, and it's like, oh, there's like a Super Sonic who turns gold in Sonic 2, and it's like, I definitely have not been able to achieve that.
The like end game level, the like pro level Sonic stuff is confounding to me because it all hinges on your ability to play those dumb mini games. And in both Sonic 2 and 3, they're so divorced from what like the rest of the gameplay of Sonic is. I think it's fun to like run in that little like half pipe and like do the little flip all the way around it. But like being good at it has like no relationship to being good at Sonic the Hedgehog.
And some of them get really brutal where
Yeah.
it's like, in order to succeed, you cannot miss a ring.
Right. And Tails can get hit and like
know,
lose
it's
rings.
so annoying. It's so Tails is so frustrating just as like your AI companion.
Yeah.
Because there's no point. Like he doesn't like do anything good.
Like he can collect rings though.
He can collect rings, but yeah, that's true. That's true.
Also, if you get a second person with a second controller, they can control him.
I know, that might be fun. We should maybe try that.
And he can't get hurt. Oh, he can get hurt, but it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
And he can fly. And I don't remember if in Sonic 2, if he can like fly and you can grab onto him.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Sonic 3 for sure.
Well, I hope that Sonic 3 makes it. I would like to play that someday.
I want that for you. I want for you to.
I could probably
play
buy
Sonic
it,
3.
right?
No. You're already paying an
that's
extra
right.
$30
That's
a
right.
year just to play
That's
Sonic the
right.
Hedgehog. Mark, this is not a video game that I played, but I did go to Universal Studios Hollywood this weekend, and was reminded the moment I walked in that Super Mario or Super Nintendo World will be coming to this park at some point, because there was Mario stuff in the gift shop, and like I wanted to want something, but there was really nothing there that like I would. It's there. It's so much of just like the characters' faces like huge on stuff.
It didn't look like anything that you couldn't get from like Target or GameStop.
Yes. And like, I just wish they could do the thing, like the sort of Uniqlo thing where it's like, you have to kind of look at it and like investigate it and know that it's a Mario thing to see that it's a Mario thing.
Yeah, and I feel like the Super Nintendo World in Japan, like
we're going to mess this up over and over again.
For it is our curse for all eternity. That they have that unique merchandise.
I want that.
I know. I just want them to like just bring it here now.
Just bring it here now.
Yeah.
So, I had spent the day at the park, could see where they are building the Super Nintendo World stuff. And, I got very excited about it. It does seem like it is a fairly big chunk of land that they are using for it, which is weird because nothing at Universal is big.
Yeah.
We walked around the Harry Potter land and like that's pretty small. You walk through Springfield in like 30 seconds and you're like on the other side of it.
Universal Studios Hollywood has the weirdest layout for a theme park.
The absolute weirdest layout because it is like bisected by an enormous. How many story escalator would you say it is?
I don't know. It has to be like 400 feet.
It's broken up into 4 different sections.
It takes like 10 minutes.
It takes 10 minutes to go down or up this escalator. And like down there is like the Jurassic Park stuff and Transformers the ride and the Mummy. And that's really it.
Yeah, and then that's where Nintendo World
there you go.
is gonna go.
Nailed it. Yeah, and like I had like a flash of like panic as we were going on these rides where I was like, oh no, are the Mario rides just going to be squirting me with water? Like, is that all they're gonna be? Because every ride that we went on sprayed us with water at some
Universal
point.
loves it. Where it's like, oh, did like glass break in this ride? You got sprayed with water.
Sprayed with water.
Did this dinosaur jump out at you?
Sprayed with water. What are you, just on the Mummy ride? Sprayed with water. But I have sort of high hopes for it just because like it seems like the stuff at Universal Japan was looking cool. So yeah, I don't know. I had sort of forgotten all about this and then saw some of it with my own eyes. And I'm like, oh yes. That is in our
I want to
future.
eat at that Toad Cafe.
Oh, so bad.
So bad.
Yeah.
That is, I think I'm just gonna live there. I'll just move to Universal Studios Hollywood when this opens. The other thing, I've been playing Skyward Sword. Slowly making my way a little bit through it. Still love it. I don't really have anything new to say about it. Just I am really enjoying Skyward Sword.
Are you in the second desert temple?
No, I'm
Are
not.
you past
so
it?
so no. So I think
you
I was
back
actually
up at the island.
No,
What's
no.
going on? Mark, where are you?
I was
I won't
not.
let you finish.
Yeah, I was not as far as I thought I was.
Oh, okay.
So you have like passed me again. So I went back to Faron Forest, and I just is that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
So I just
Maybe
recently
Farron Woods.
Faron Woods, yeah. And then I just recently encountered like the dragon and brought
Oh,
the
okay,
dragon like
yes, yes.
the water. And so I'm in that temple where I'm getting the first like flame or whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay,
So
great.
that's where I'm at.
Great. I am currently getting the second flame. I'm in the desert. It's very cool, and I'm enjoying it an awful lot.
I love this little Faron like dragon thing.
Yeah,
And I
so weird, right?
It's so weird. But I know you had talked about it before, and I just want to reiterate how much I love the different species
Yep.
in this game, right? Like it's different forest creatures, it's different like water creatures. This is a weird like umbrella jellyfish like
Yeah.
um
It's like an umbrella
like snork looking
jellyfish.
thing.
Well, like seahorse.
Seahorse,
Yeah,
yeah.
I knew there was a real world example, not just the snorks. Were you thinking of the snorks? The snorks, like the underwater Smurfs?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, okay, great.
I would love to know what other snorks there are.
I guess snorkel is
Oh,
what.
yes, I see.
My mind just finished the word. I
Uh-huh.
guess. Well, okay, we will certainly discuss more Skyward Sword as we go. But Mark, in the meantime, those are the games that we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week. But before we get into what is coming out next week, I want to talk about something that came out on Thursday of last week, which we didn't talk about on our news episode last week because it was only announced on the 1st, 3 days previous. A Popeye game came to Switch. Mark, a Popeye game.
Huh.
An officially licensed Popeye game.
In 2021?
Yes. And it is a like 3D reimagining of the Nintendo developed Popeye arcade game.
Interesting.
So you are Popeye. You are running around a 3D space instead of a 2D space, catching the hearts that Olive Oil throws down while avoiding Bluto.
Huh.
It looks terrible. Do not recommend that anyone check it out. Or I mean, do check it out. Like look for video, because it is a wholly bizarre experience. And just a strange little exercise. It's $12.99 on the Switch eShop. And I've since discovering it, I've been like a little tempted just to check it out. It's like coming off the heels of a Game and Watch month, and really coveting that Popeye Game and Watch, and just knowing that it has like a weird space in Nintendo history, makes me like sort of interested in this. But like it's absolutely a garbage game. I checked out. It's Sabek Limited is the name of the company that published it, and they put out all kinds of like crappy sort of like shovelware games for modern consoles. And this is just another one of those.
So bizarre. Put it on your wish list so that way if it drops
Ooh,
in
yeah.
price.
Yes,
maybe you can
because
pick it up
sometimes games like that go down to like a penny.
then. Right. Yeah, exactly. On November 11th, on Thursday, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is released on the Switch eShop as well as the Grand Theft Auto the Trilogy, the definitive edition, also released on Switch eShop.
Man, it's like it's 10 years ago.
Yeah, completely. I'm kind of tempted by Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
I have like the Republic Commando game on my Switch. I have the
Pod Racer.
the pod racing game on my Switch.
That's not the name of it. It is Star
Star
Wars
Wars
Episode
Episode
1
1.
Racer.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know. There's something about this era of Star Wars that I really enjoy.
Yeah, Mark, I have never played Knights of the Old Republic.
I haven't really either. So I bought it or I got it for free. I can't remember which on like iOS.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I've
yeah.
had it on my iPad and my phone, and I've played a little bit of it, but that's a terrible way to play that game.
Right.
And so it feels like something we should play
Yeah,
as big old Star Wars heads.
we are big old Star Wars heads, and yeah, maybe we should. Maybe we should make a show about it or something.
Speaking of like, should we play this on Friday, November 12th? Shin Megami Tensei 5 is released, and the reviews have been really good for this game.
Yeah. Which is a little, I guess not surprising, but like is one of those where like even the best reviews probably still like means it doesn't appeal to me, like the sort of
Mm-hmm.
hardcore JRPG.
Yeah,
And also just like looking at the aesthetic of the game, it's very like drab and dark, and
totally.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be one that I want to check out, but yeah, it is amazing how good the reviews are.
Yeah, I guess I just wasn't expecting that. But Shin Megami Tensei is, I think, notoriously a difficult franchise.
Yeah.
And this game seems to be no exception.
Yes.
And so I think that alone will put me off of playing it. When I played Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I played it on easy. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how I like my RPGs. So for that reason alone, I'll probably, maybe in like 20 years when they release, like a upscaled version, and they'll add an easy mode for people like me.
Yeah, I mean, but really what you want, maybe this isn't what you want, but I think what I would want is just a lower, because like it is something I'd be interested in checking out. Shin Megami Tensei is obviously a storied RPG franchise that has so many like offshoots, and the Persona series comes from it, and so many other things come from Persona, and like all it is like a grandfather in as far as franchises go, in Atlas's canon, and I would just like a cheaper access point. Like
Yeah.
if it was like $30 when this game goes on sale at some point, because it will, then maybe I will check it out.
Especially if it's like super long.
Yeah.
Like, that is not really appealing to me either.
Yeah.
Right now. So, also on Friday, Game & Watch The Legend of Zelda is released, which I've got to tell you, Patrick, I could have sworn this thing came out like 3 months ago.
I mean, that you sound like someone who doesn't have a pre-order, who isn't waiting for it to show up at Best Buy, who's not going to be there on Friday saying, gimme, 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 gimme. Which is me. I have all those things. I'm very excited about this thing to come out. I had sort of forgotten how much is on it, because the Super Mario Game & Watch is a little bit less, right? It really just has Super Mario Brothers, The Lost Levels, and Ball, but Mario's face is on that, and so like that's fun, and those are fun games to just like pick up and play. But the Legend of Zelda Game & Watch has The Legend of Zelda NES. It has Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, and it has the Game Boy, not Game Boy Color, version of Link's Awakening on it. And then also has Vermin, where the moles are Octoroks and the dude doing the bashing is Link. I'm very
that's
excited.
a pretty good package.
Yeah.
That's fun. It is actually, there's something cool about it to me that it's the Game Boy version of Link's Awakening.
Yes, which has never been re-released on any other platform. Whenever they re-release it or like bring it up in collections or whatever, it is the DX, the Game Boy Color version.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, I'm very excited about this. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I put it up in my office next to the other one, so I can have two competing time pieces telling me like 1 minute apart from each other. I'm looking forward to it. All right, Mark, those are the new releases. Let's close this segment out. Now it is time for a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. For the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, we're going to hew kind of close to Nintendo as a topic, because I got a PlayStation 5.
Nice.
I was able to secure one. A couple weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I think I'm in the market for a PlayStation 5. It's been a year since they came out. I want it. And so I set to the Lord's work of trying to order one from any online retailer. Turns out this is one of those like impossible to get things. You got to go on high alert. You got to follow IGN Deals and Wario64 on Twitter. You got to go to nowinstock.com and add an alert for PlayStation 5, and like really just be plugged in and on your computer all the time for when they go on sale, because they'll be on sale for 30 seconds and then they're gone. And I eventually got one to pick up in store at my Best Buy. And I got it, and I brought it home, and I love it.
And it's one of the disc ones, right?
It is one of the disc ones, yes. Which I didn't set out to get the disc one. I was just like, whatever. is available is fine.
Yeah. Yes. Before we started recording, this is the first time I have seen a PlayStation 5 in person, and it's a mighty beast. But I
It's
think it's
big.
pretty
It's
good
big.
looking.
It's yeah. So I have mine resting on its side. I think they want you to stand it upright. But either way, you need to like set it in this little stand. The stand is kind of cool. Like it's modular. Like you have to rotate it, and then like it clips onto the sides that you can lay it on its side. Otherwise, it's got these like weird fins that you put pressure on. But yeah, it is big. It is a beast, but sort of a handsome one.
Yeah. Yeah. So what have you been playing?
So I mean, sort of the boring answer is that I had never finished Final Fantasy VII Remake when I was playing it because I was sort of bummed out by the like quality of the like dramatic presentation of it, like the writing and the acting. I thought were all kind of a bummer. So I never finished it when I picked it up like last year, but so I'm playing the PlayStation 5 version of it now here, which was a free upgrade, which rules from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5 version. And just like changing my expectations for, what I want of the game.
So it's a free upgrade, but is it really like upgrade is in like a just new version of the game? Like your save data doesn't carry over.
My
Like, you have to
save
start
data
over.
did not carry over.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, it is like a different version of the game. Like
it's not like a texture pack or something that you download.
No,
and they're like
it's more than that. But the thing is, there is also like add-on content that I can now buy that I've upgraded it to the new version. And if I still have appetite for the game after I get through it, I will just roll into the DLC content. But yeah, I'm enjoying that a lot. I also played through Astro's Playroom.
That's supposed to be really good.
It's adorable. So you're playing as Astro. He's a little robot. I played the Astrobot Rescue mission on the PlayStation VR a couple years ago. It's the same basic concept, except not in VR. And you go through like parts of the PlayStation 5, like the cooling unit, the memory, the like high speed, whatever. And like you encounter artifacts that are all like pieces of PlayStation ephemera.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is all really cool, and like it like winds up in this like museum piece where like you've collected every piece of PlayStation hardware. And I know I'm not the first person to say this, but like this would be such a cool like Nintendo thing, like if they could do it and celebrate their hardware this way.
I feel like Sony as a video gaming brand is very like focused on moving forward. I feel like it is rare that you get something like that's really nostalgia heavy from Sony. But I think it's cool that they're at the point like Sony as a video game
they've been around long enough.
Been around a long time. Like they do have a lot of history to celebrate, and I kind of wish they did it more.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. We have reached the end of the recording of 433. There is no applause, even though it was a pretty good recording. We were accompanied today by the piano quartet, 2 sharps, 1 flat. All right, Mark, let's get into the news. Gonna leave that music flub in there because I fixed it so fast. Still sounded terrible.
Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa gave a presentation at a recent financial results briefing that shed some light on the company's future. And, some in that he basically revealed that they would continue to make hardware, software, and, quote, increase the number of people who experience Nintendo IP. So nothing crazy, no big departure from anything that he had talked about before. This is very much like what Nintendo is focused on under Furukawa as president. There were some interesting tidbits from the presentation, though. Like we got like an age spread of people who play the Switch, and like the average age is like 30 or between like 30 and 40 or something. Like
and there was also like a big spike at like 21 or something like that. And I wonder like how much of that has to do with like the like age or class of people that are like graduating college or like going to college in like COVID times, if like any of that like sort of spikes Switch usage or anything
it was
that.
really because they showed off a graph that showed like like number of people who play Switch like once a year,
Yeah.
and there was a huge spike, in 2020, and then a decrease in so far in 2021, but still higher than 2019. Like
Right.
there's still a lot
Right.
of growth.
Well, and
Um,
also we're not close to done with
yeah,
2021
that's
yet,
true. That's
especially as
true.
far as their financial year is concerned, because it goes until the end of March.
That's right. But they didn't show any historical data for age, which would
Right.
have been interesting to be able to compare. But yeah, I was surprised that it kind of like clumped in like 20, 30, 40-year old.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. But we also, got a little bit more about what Nintendo intends to do with the tons and tons of money that they have been making on the Switch.
Well, and the sort of unexpected success of the Switch. Obviously, when they develop new hardware and software for that hardware, they expect it, or at least hope it'll be successful. But evidently, the success of the Switch and the attach rate in people like buying multiple units of software for every Switch they buy has, if not come as a surprise, has exceeded expectations.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they also talked about like the life cycle of, initially people were buying one Switch per home, and now they're at the point where like everybody in the home is getting their own
Hmm.
Switch, which they have deemed a success. I think was it when Kimishima was still president, or maybe it was early in Furukawa's run. But they were talking about, yeah, like we think the Switch can be as successful as the Wii, and everybody was like, maybe, but it didn't seem, like
Yeah.
analysts, like I think everybody in the video game world was a little bit like, I mean, I guess anything's possible, but it like by the end of this fiscal year, if not very shortly after, the Switch will have outsold the Wii.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, just I have it down here I have the data down here for related to another like bullet point here, but the lifetime sales of the Switch are about 101.63 million, and sorry, that's the Wii, and then the Switch right now is at 92.87 million. So like it is within 10 million, which I know is a lot of consoles, but like
but usually, like what they could ship, but by the end, because they still have the holiday season
right.
plus, whatever January through March, so it seems very doable.
Yep.
But so what are they gonna do with all this money? Uh, one, R&D of software assets and quote building a foundation for maintaining and expanding relationships with customers.
Now, I like soft R&D of software assets, of course. Self-evident, I like more games. More games, better games, of course. Great. Building a foundation for maintaining and expanding relationships with customers is interesting because I don't know what it means.
I don't really know what it means either, because everything, or I guess not everything, but a lot of what they've been doing recently in um in the name of expanding their relationship with customers has been partnerships,
Right.
right? With Illumination, with Lego, with Uniqlo, like so.
Does that mean that, or does it, because they also refer to like my Nintendo and Nintendo accounts later on,
Right.
and like sort of banding about, and we'll get to it, like the numbers of Nintendo Switch online subscribers. So like like it does make me wonder, or what exactly they mean by that.
Yeah.
Like, is it their direct connection to the customers, or is it just the sort of like broadening out of like using the Nintendo IP to reach other people, other entertainment consumers
Totally, but
where
then
they
you're
are?
like,
Yeah.
oh, like yes, but what would cause? Why would they need to fund it? Like, what would they be doing
Yes.
in which they need to like invest? Because I guess that's what I'm saying is that right now to do all that stuff they have partnerships,
Right.
but I mean, although I guess I don't know the financial arrangements of any of those partnerships,
Right.
but it's
We don't know if Illumination and Nintendo are going halfsies on the Super Mario
yeah,
Brothers
yeah.
movie. Yeah.
I mean, they do talk about they're opening right now there's a Nintendo store in Tokyo.
Hmm.
There is a Nintendo store in New York. They are opening a second store in Japan in Osaka at the end of 2022. There is a huge appetite, I think, for these like official Nintendo stores.
Yeah, agreed.
It makes complete sense to me that they would put one at Universal City Walk at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that makes a ton of sense to me. When it eventually opens in Florida, I think it makes a ton of sense for them to put one there. So maybe that is something that would be self-funded.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of things going on that we don't know anything about. They will, quote, pursue opportunities in non-gaming entertainment business that have high affinity with the game business.
Which, I mean, what does that mean? What are the slivers of the entertainment business that are like friendly to the game business?
Yeah, I don't know. Did you see the rumors that Seth Rogen is going to star in like his own like Donkey Kong
Like spin-off
animated
movie? Yeah.
movie or TV series or something?
Yeah, so there was that was one piece of movie news that I didn't put on our list here because I was like, what is this? What kind of show is this? Are we video games or are we movies? But because there was also another story of the Metroid guy, whose name
Sakamoto.
yes, yeah, Yoshio Sakamoto, saying that he would like to see a Metroid movie. So it's like there's all of these, like it's in the air, and like reaction to the casting notwithstanding, like I think people are just sort of like settling on the idea that like, oh yeah, these Nintendo movies are real.
Yeah.
We're actually going to see some of these things are actually going to see the light of day. What could it really mean?
And how I don't think I certainly am not prepared for how aggressive it seems that Nintendo is going to be
Yeah.
in pursuing this kind of stuff. But they do talk about in this presentation about how it is all with the intention of getting people to play video games,
Yeah.
buy the Nintendo hardware and buy Nintendo games, and that is like the point of all of this in their minds. Also, they're not ruling out mergers and acquisitions. So, they recently bought Next Level Games, who had been a partner with them for a long time. Lots of people have been talking about, oh, should they buy Mercury Steam after their success with the past two Metroid games? So, Furukawa says, we're not ruling out mergers and acquisitions, but they're focused on using the money to organically expand Nintendo development teams and maintaining their creative culture.
Which is great because the creative culture at Nintendo is what makes that company that company. And as soon as they're just like buying up, like I think it made sense for Xbox and Microsoft to buy Bethesda games and just like welcome that huge portfolio of games and IP into their stable. But like that's just not the same for Nintendo, right? Like they have such a creative identity that just like pulling in other creative identities doesn't totally make sense.
Yep. Regarding Nintendo accounts, it says, quote, the aim is not to simply promote the shift to digital, but to build a uniquely Nintendo service infrastructure based on our integrated hardware software business.
This is the one I will believe when I see.
I mean, they talk, and it has been a talking point for since the Nintendo Switch Online was revealed, that they are always looking for ways to increase the value, and attractiveness of a Nintendo Switch Online account.
Yeah, I mean it's so over a year ago now, you and I did a sort of like retro rewatch of hardware reveals at E3, and it's just interesting how like on top of it Nintendo was with the DS and its internet capabilities, and like it's just weird how they never like they're not like leaders in that space at all now. Not necessarily that they were even leaders then, but they were at least like keeping up, especially as far as handhelds were concerned. And yeah, now it's just like they feel so like in the dust on online infrastructure.
Yeah, I feel like, I guess my opinion on it is that they, for the most part, compete at like table stakes, where it's like online functionality exists.
Yeah.
An eShop exists. Like that kind of like adding friends and all that kind of stuff. I think we've just gotten used to it. Like
yeah, totally.
The Nintendo way of doing online is not super intuitive, right? But it just like is what it is. And so everybody's just kind of like come to terms with it.
Yeah, but it would be great if it wasn't a thing that we had to come to terms with. This weekend I played Deep Rock Galactic on the Xbox One with some friends of mine. It's a game that I was able to access because I'm a Game Pass subscriber. and download it and be in their games within, like a half an hour of us saying we should do this. And then like, we use Discord to voice chat, but like, I don't know, it was a seamless
Yeah.
process. So like, I never have that with like Nintendo. You got to be like texting back and forth and being like, okay, are you here? Okay, enter this and all that kind of stuff. It was just so easy on
Yeah.
Xbox, and I wish it could be just so easy on Nintendo as well.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has officially outsold Mario Kart Wii, which Mario Kart Wii sold 37.38 million copies, while Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has now sold 38.74 million.
Which is so many.
Presumably will continue to sell more because every year it's been selling like 6 million copies.
Yeah.
It makes it the best-selling Mario Kart game in history. Pretty sure it makes it the best-selling racing game in history.
Yeah, probably. I made a little note here, Mark, that Mario Kart in general is a juggernaut. It's in every single platform that it's appeared on, it is in the top 4 best-selling games on that platform.
That's amazing. I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a great game.
Yeah.
It's a perfect Mario Kart
Yeah,
game.
it is a perfect Mario Kart game, and like well deserved. I feel like most Mario Kart games deserve that like very high spot. Mario Kart Wii is the second best selling game on Wii behind Wii Sports, and on 3DS I believe it's the best selling game, and on DS it's like number 3 behind New Super Mario Brothers and Nintendogs, right? Like that's the level of phenomenon that you have to like get to in order to like beat out a Mario Kart game.
Yeah, and I know people don't love the Wii version. I'm not particularly fond of Double Dash, but I feel like each Mario Kart game is great in its own way.
Yeah, I agree.
There are over 32 million subscribers to Nintendo Switch Online.
32 million!
And like we were talking about earlier, Furukawa reiterated, like they always do, that they will continue to expand and improve both the Nintendo Switch Online and Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, but they don't specify how or when or anything like that.
Right. Just that they will expand them. He didn't call out here the individual like software libraries, so I wonder if I mean, obviously he's just leaving it wide open, but like what other services and or games will come to those things later? No one saw Tetris 99 coming. No one saw Super Mario 35 or Pac-Man 99 coming. So like, who knows? Who knows what else will come to these things?
There's also a chart in the whole thing is like a PowerPoint presentation. There's a chart on the future outlook, and the chart has 3 eras. One is from 2004 to 2006, where it highlights the integrated hardware software of the Nintendo DS and the Wii. And then it just jumps to 2017 and is like, hey, look at the success we're having with the integrated hardware and software on the Nintendo Switch. And then it jumps to 20XX with a big question mark for the next gaming system.
And next gaming system is written on this slide. Like, so that is something that we can expect sometime in the next 89 years, but before the end of the century. But yeah, it is funny to skip past the Wii U era, skip past the 3DS, which was a success.
Right.
Like, it was not as successful as the DS, and obviously the Wii U is far less successful than the Wii. But yeah, it is just sort of funny and like drawing these lines. Like there are some parts that you want to omit.
Yeah, I don't know. I've enjoyed this like presentation. I thought it was a nice reminder how like kind of I guess fiscally responsible Nintendo is, where they're like, hey, we're having good times now, but we know from history that like the good times are not going to last forever.
Right.
And so they try to be like cash conscious.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that you like, Nintendo in a lot of ways is a conservative company, and I don't mean that in like a political way or anything like that, although they're probably a little bit. But yeah, just like you say, they're cautious with how they are going to approach dispersing their success from the last couple of years.
Famed Super Smash Bros. Director Masahiro Sakurai gave an interview with Famitsu, which has been translated by Siliconera, about the future of the Super Smash Bros. Series. Here are the highlights pulled by Kite Stenbuck. at Siliconera. One, quote, I am not thinking of a sequel to Super Smash Bros. However, I can't say with certainty that this would be the end of Smash.
Which seems a little bit self-evident, right? Like
Right.
the Smash series is so big, there's Nintendo's not going to put it to bed forever.
Quote, I need to think whether I must release a Smash game or not, even if I have to do something that would disappoint users.
Okay.
Cryptic.
Cryptic.
I need to think whether I must release a Smash game or not. Meaning like, oh,
I think it's all one thought. So I need to think whether I must release a Smash game or not, even if I have to do something that would disappoint users.
oh, so maybe saying like, maybe in the future we won't do another Smash game, even though that would disappoint people.
Oh, I see. I almost read it as the opposite of like, I need to think if we have to release a Smash game, even though what that Smash game will be will disappoint users.
Interesting. Another quote. Quote, I currently don't see a path where Smash can be produced without myself.
Okay, hold on. He's one guy, right? He knows he's one guy, right? All right, keep going.
Quote, honestly, we did actually try leaving it to someone else, but it didn't go well.
Did we?
I have the vaguest
Mhm.
memories of before Smash 4 was revealed, or maybe like in the press for Smash 4. Maybe it was just rumors around Smash 4 that Bandai Namco, because they're the ones that helped out with
Yeah,
like Smash
mhm.
4 and Smash Ultimate, the Bandai Namco was originally tasked
To
with
just like do
with
it themselves.
developing,
Yeah.
and like maybe like Sakurai was just like tangentially like supervising, and that he came in and was like heavily involved. But I can't remember if that's like true.
Right, or if just that's sort of the narrative that we like
Yeah,
accept
uh-huh.
about it. Yeah, I mean, like it is interesting, and also makes you wonder, like, if he's so integral to the process, why has he not been mentoring someone or several
No,
someones?
totally.
Like,
Yeah.
I do get that he is a special guy and a rare talent, but like, just spread that talent around.
It just does not. It just does not seem possible that
Right.
Smash Brothers in some form will not continue, whether Sakurai is involved or not.
Yeah.
And then last quote here, quote, if the series were to continue, I have to talk with Nintendo and have a debate on whether we'll succeed or not. I must think about this topic seriously. I mean, I would want to try to figure out what's next for Smash Brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And obviously, this is just a function of the translation, but that he's like, we will need to have a debate whether it will be successful without me or not. What side of that debate do you think he's going to take?
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater 3D has been pulled from the 3DS eShop. In fact, all versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 on like the PlayStation 3, anything that's where it's available digitally, has been pulled as Konami renews licenses necessary to distribute some of the historical footage used in those games.
Which is fascinating and like a weird wrinkle about. I mean, it's just like games that use licensed music, right?
Right.
Like that will get pulled from
I
stores
think
because
that happened to Alan Wake.
yeah,
Like, I
probably
think it
yeah.
got delisted because like the license ran out on a song it had in its soundtrack or something like that.
And because a lot of these games, I mean, especially Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, they came out in a world before digital distribution of console games. So these are games that you would have sold on disc, and so like you licensed the song to print, or the historical footage to just print on a disc and sell it physically in a store, never intending them to be sold as ones and zeros over the internet, right?
Right, or to be available for like new sales in
Yes.
perpetuity.
Forever.
Yeah.
So that's all stuff that needed to be renegotiated here. I have to imagine that Konami's going to figure out like how much could it possibly.
Well,
right?
but like how much is it worth it for them to figure it out
Great
for like
point.
the
Yeah.
PlayStation 3 store or the 3DS eShop, right? So
Yeah.
I
Well, and the
don't
fact
know.
that the fact that both of these like sort of popped at once means that the license holder noticed, right? It can't mean that like that Konami was like, oh well, we just got to go through and renew
Right,
these.
they had a big countdown clock.
Right. That's right. That it's in someone's calendar. That the license holder was definitely like, wait a minute, they're using that, and like, can they do that still? And then told them to take it down while they renegotiate. So I wonder if they're able to like hold that as a bargaining chip, or what. Like I wonder how does a Metal Gear Solid game sell in 2021?
Yeah, I don't know. Is yeah, I don't. Well, again, so is it worth it for them to like
Right,
pay that money? Is it worth it for them to like work through this? I can't imagine that these games will never be available again,
right.
and so I think it will be worked out in some form. But
It's also way harder to pull out historical footage than it is to pull out like a song that you know what I mean?
mhm.
Like uh it would be tough to release a Tony Hawk game without like Goldfinger Superman or whatever. But like you can do it, right? And you can just put like a license a different song, but like that's footage that is spliced into some 45-minute long cutscene. Do you think they would ever go back and like re-edit them without that footage?
Yeah, I mean, I think if it came down to it, I do. I do
Yeah.
think they would do that. Um, because again, I imagine someday we're going to see like a collection on, the Xbox Series X and the,
Right.
PlayStation 5. That feels inevitable to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is affecting collections that already exist.
Mm,
So there are collections that have like all of Metal Gear on them, and if it has 2 or 3 on them, it has been taken down entirely.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It does feel like something they're gonna have to work out in some form. But I just do they find it worthwhile to put it back up on the 3DS eShop? Like
Oh yeah, that one
I
in
find that hard to
particular.
believe.
Yeah, that one's tough.
Metroid Dread was advertised as the ending of the saga for Samus Aran and the Metroids. But it's with the success of Metroid Dread, it's only natural that we should ask whether that's truly the last we will ever see of this infamous bounty hunter. In an interview with CNET, Metroid director and producer Y- that can't be right.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, there we go.
Yoshio?
Sakamoto vaguely addressed the series' future, saying, quote, "As long as the character Samus exists, I think her adventures will continue. I feel that Samus should continue her adventure, and that's something that we would really need to put our best effort into." Metroid Dread does conclude the 5-story arc that has been going for 35 years. However, I feel that it's not the ultimate end. There should be something that is able to continue the franchise in the universe. So yes, as long as your character Samus is loved, I would like to do what I have to do.
And of course, this is all knowing that a fourth Metroid Prime game is still coming out.
Uh-huh.
So any like feint towards this being like the dead end of the Metroid franchise is obviously false.
So I have not finished Metroid Dread yet.
Gil, you gotta.
And so I have not seen, however, this concludes. But I'm curious from your perspective, Patrick, as a longtime Metroid fan,
Mhm.
does it feel like there is some sort of finality?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
There is some finality. Samus ends in a place that is definitive.
Dead.
No, she does not die. Spoiler on that. But her status in the world has changed, and the status quo of the world has also changed. So like it's one of those things where like I don't know what the series would be called going forward because calling it Metroid no longer feels genuine.
Yeah, I mean, even in Metroid Dread, I mean, again, spoilers. There are no Metroid
Yeah.
in Metroid Dread.
Right.
Yeah. So, interesting. But yes, there are lots of ways around it. Whether it's
No
continuing her
Metroid
story-
to a point.
to a point, yeah. No, yes, that's right. There, even if Samus's story doesn't continue into the future, like you're saying with Metroid Prime 4, there are lots of avenues that they could take to continue
Right.
Samus's story.
Right.
I can't really wrap my head around how, but The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD has already outsold the original Wii version.
Which, again, we talked about it earlier. The Switch is catching up to the Wii's lifetime sales. But by the time Skyward Sword came out on Wii, that was like the Wii at the height of its distribution. That like it was in as many homes as it was going to get into at that point.
There were like a cajillion Wiis, but
no one was playing it
nobody
anymore.
was playing it
Right.
anymore.
Which is probably what accounts for it. So maybe we can, in fact, wrap our heads around it. But yeah, the Switch version has sold 3.6 million units to the Wii's lifetime of 3.5
And
million.
does that not just put into stark relief how like much of a juggernaut that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is?
Oh,
That it's like it laps,
yeah, 10 times.
in like a year,
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sells twice as much
Right.
as
in its
Skyward Sword.
5th year. Yeah.
Crazy. Totally crazy.
But cool, and congratulations to Skyward Sword HD. I like that it has found like new life on
I
the Switch.
I had never played it if they had not released it in this HD version. I don't know that I ever would have.
Yeah.
And I am so glad that I am playing it. I've enjoyed it immensely.
Yep.
Nintendo has announced some of their Black Friday deals, which are set to start in store on Sunday, November 21st, but I think are available now.
Oh, okay.
Or at least some of it online is available now. Bundle that includes Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, digital version, and 3 months of an individual member subscription to Nintendo Switch Online for $299.99. I think this is the same deal that they ran last year
I
as
think
well.
so. Mm-hmm.
A bunch of first-party games dropped from $59.99 to $39.99, so you can get Breath of the Wild, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Splatoon 2, Super Mario Maker 2, Paper Mario: The Origami King, Kirby Star Allies, Link's Awakening, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Astral Chain, and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition for only $40. Patrick, if there's one on this list that I think you should play, it is for sure Paper Mario. Well, you probably own all of these except for Paper Mario: The Origami King, which
I don't own Astral Chain, but otherwise you are correct.
Yeah, because I really enjoyed Paper Mario: The Origami King. I think you would like it too. It's one that I wish I had bought physically so I could
lend it to
you.
me. Yeah,
but one to check out.
That's a good tip, and one that I was going to I was probably going to pursue. I also want to just point out Link's Awakening I think has been at this price at some point in the past, and I probably said it then, I will say it again now. $40 is like the correct price point for Link's Awakening. It's a great remake of a great game. A little light on like content, like you can kind of burn through the entire experience in like 12-ish hours, but like totally worth $40. Totally worth it.
Also, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit drops from $100 to $59.99, and then Ring Fit Adventure, this is a really good deal, drops from $80 to $54.99.
Yeah, that's if you haven't checked out Ring Fit Adventure yet, because that like $80 price tag is intimidating. I agree with you. That is a lot to spend on a like exercise video game. But if $55 sounds a little bit more or a little bit less intimidating, like absolutely check it out. It was a lifesaver for me over the pandemic. I still mess around with it from time to time when I want to hurt myself. But it's great. Yeah, I love Ring Fit.
There's also around this time like tons and tons of eShop sales, and so I'm sure we'll be getting more details of that soon. A couple of delays were announced last week. Shovel Knight Dig was delayed out of 2021 to sometime in 2022. Yacht Club Games assured us that development was going well, but they needed more time.
Which is fine. I love Shovel Knight and I love Yacht Club. I will play whatever they put out whenever they put it out. But yeah, say if I gotta wait a couple of months for this one, I'm totally happy with that.
Is this was it a puzzle game? What is Shovel Knight Dig?
So it's not the match 3 one. It is like it's the 16-bit sort of I can't remember if it's like actually roguelike or not. But it gives sort of vibes of like the SteamWorld Dig games, but with Shovel Knight. Yeah.
Got it. Also, Marvel's Midnight Suns, which was only announced in August and set for March 22 release, has been delayed to the second half of 2022.
Which is, I mean, this is a cool looking game, right? Like this is the sort of like dark Marvel strategy XCOM like game, which I'm interested in playing, but like this, a long strategy game where I'm gonna have to invest like tons of time into it. It's honestly like a relief to know it's coming later.
Yep. And finally, Nintendo has released an update to Super Mario 3D All-Stars, well after the game has been taken off of digital stores and they stopped producing new copies. The new update allows players to use the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack Nintendo 64 controllers to play Super Mario 64, which awesome. I wish that this was the way that I played Super Mario 64 when I played it for 3D All-Stars.
Yeah, it's It's so funny to me that they went back in, like patched in that controller support. But it means that there is a reason now, only one, but a reason for people who subscribe to regular old Nintendo Switch Online to order the Nintendo 64 controller, even if they're not also subscribed to the expansion pack,
Right.
because they can actually use it on a game that they already have if they already have it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the only reason.
Well, other than just to admire it.
And it is beautiful. Feels nice in the hand. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. I was really worried I was going to mess up that music cue again. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter, wherever you share stuff. We appreciate it when you do that. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at NinCart Society. Also, if you want to be our friends on the Nintendo Switch, our friend codes are in the description of every episode. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller spraying some water on you and saying thank you for listening.
I'm Brian Husky. I'm bald.
And I'm Charlie Sanders, and I'm also bald, and we host Bald Talk on the Campfire Media Network.
Bald Talk is the podcast where two bald comedians talk to anyone bald about being bald.
But this show isn't just for baldies, Brian. Harrows will love it too.
Bald Talk gets into vulnerability, vanity, insecurity, and self-acceptance, reminding us that we all have our respective bald spots. Not that bald spots are a bad thing.
No way. I mean, my entire head is one big bald spot.
It is one huge, beautiful bald spot, Charlie.
Get Bald Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
I mean, I have like a little bit of hair, but not like you. Like, you're really bald.
I'm truly bald.
Great. I mean, it's
I'm
great.
balder than you.
You are balder than me.
Only on Bald Talk. Campfire.